lovers, because you won't get a chance to appreciate the music. You'll just get the screams of joy and delight from this crowd.
More of the family members of the Edmonton Oilers arriving in front of our telecast location, right on the front steps of City Hall. We're not very far from Bill Lang's usual office, but it's a lot more fun down here today than it usually is when you're watching those boring council meetings.
It certainly is, John. This beats any council meeting I've ever been at. I'm telling you, they may not hear the music today, but I'm sure these cheers are all the music that the Oiler players want when they come up front here.
That's the stage that the Oilers will be presented on, and the Edmonton Crusaders band is in the background up there. There's balloons ready to explode and head up to the heavens as we continue here this afternoon. Right now, Peter Watts again.
John, thank you so much. I don't know if you can hear me down here or not, but I'm down in the middle of the crowd. The slowest part of the procession may very well be at the point where the players get out of the cars, and the players haven't quite arrived yet. They've still got the buses unloaded with all of the family members and members of the Oilers front office staff. But there is a great crowd down here at the entranceway into the Churchill Square area. This is a tremendous party. I have not seen anything quite like it. Not when Princess Di and Prince Charles were here. Not when the Queen was here. Not at any other time. And I think Terry Jones touched on an interesting thought when he suggested that what makes this party special is that the Oilers won it in front of their home fans. And everybody has had a chance to be front and center a part of it. The party continues. The teams should be just about arriving starting now. They are one or two to a car at a time. And they will be unloading and walking up past our vantage point here. John?
Peter, well, they've timed it pretty well in Winnipeg. We understand that CBC viewers on CBWT in Winnipeg have joined our viewing audience here this afternoon. We welcome you to the Stanley Cup celebration and remind Winnipeg that this is the first Stanley Cup ever won in Western Canada, at least in a modern era. There was a Winnipeg team that won a Stanley Cup championship way, way back a few years, but before it meant quite as much as it does now. We understand in Winnipeg that on Saturday night there was a pretty big party there in support of the Edmonton Oilers, and we hope you enjoy the proceedings here from City Hall in Edmonton this afternoon.
John, it looks like we've got in excess of 100,000 people who are celebrating here this afternoon and making lots of noise. And here comes our Oilers cheerleader, the fellow who whipped up all the fans in the Coliseum.
I don't know if we can get another shot of him, but his name is David Ash, and talking to Manitobans, he's from Saskatchewan, lives in Regina, and he is a tour operator who is here on his own hook, just having a good time. He brought a tour into town, got dressed up, and has all his paraphernalia there, which includes music like that, and cheers, and he takes a little responsibility, I don't know how much, for getting Billy Smith just a little bit off his game.
A little bit rattled, that's right. Well, the demonstration there of the kind of work he did in the Coliseum with 17,000 fans, John, to whip them up, to give the Oilers that boost they needed to win 3 straight here at home and take the Stanley Cup. He's got 100,000 fans to work on. I don't know if we need microwave or a satellite to Winnipeg. They're probably hearing this live this afternoon. Look at that crowd out there. An estimated 100,000 people in Churchill Square in front of City Hall in the heart of downtown Edmonton, waiting the arrival of the Edmonton Oiler hockey team.
Well, I don't suppose it's news to anyone, but the Oilers are late. And I guess part of the reason is the massive audience that is gathered on Jasper Avenue and the other downtown streets in Edmonton and has slowed down the Oiler cavalcade. The cavalcade is strictly of Edmonton Oilers. The owner and Peter Pocklington and Coach Glenn Sather, and only team members will be part of the cavalcade, so it's really no fancy floats or anything. All you're going to see is hockey players who have been enjoying themselves with the Stanley Cup celebrations since Saturday night when they won it over the New York Islanders at Edmonton Northlands Coliseum.
We were just looking down 99th Street there, John, and it's solid with people, and that's the street they have to come up. The Oiler cars have to come up with the players and the Stanley Cup. So you can understand why it's a little slow having them arrive here at Churchill Square. We're looking down 99th Street now, at least 3 blocks jammed with people. The players and the cars have to come up that street before they can get to the front of City Hall for the official ceremony.
I think I see a car. That's Glenn Sather and Peter Pocklington in the lead Oiler vehicle. Got to say this once more about Peter Pocklington. Somewhat naively, 5 years ago, Mr. Pocklington boldly predicted his Edmonton Oilers would win the Stanley Cup. Well, not very many people really believed him, in spite of the fact that he had a young man that wore 99 that was called Wayne Gretzky on his side. and a few other pretty good hockey players. The Oilers were in tough, joining the National Hockey League in the WA expansion of that year 5 years ago. Well, Mr. Pocklington and Mr. Sather have done one whale of a job with this Edmonton Hockey Club. There are other people responsible as well. But those two should stand up and take a little bit of a special bow for bringing the Stanley Cup to this city.
Well, I tell you, the fans and the citizens are just delirious here this afternoon, John. They may not all be hockey fans, but they're certainly all Edmonton Oiler fans for what this team has done for this city. They're just going absolutely nuts.
That's Barry Fraser just racing out of the picture there. I had a good story about Barry. He grew his beard since the Oilers' last loss against Los Angeles 2 years ago. He shaved it off. Ted Green and John Muckler come by. And now the medical staff, Peter Miller, Barry Stafford, and Lyle Kuczynski. Motorcade is moving rather quickly now, and we're trying to keep abreast of it here. Kevin Lowe and Lee Fogelin, and another young Oilers supporter they brought along. I bet you that's Rory Fogelin.
You see the first of the cars approaching.
A few of the cars have gone by rather quickly. The run for one is done, they say, and we're number one. Well, Edmonton Oilers fans can certainly have a good time this afternoon. Peter Watts, where are you?
Down in the middle of all the good times. Where else? This crowd is going nuts. Here come Peter Pocklington and Glenn Sather. What a great place for a party, Coach.
Oh, isn't it?
That's a great show.
Great. People are just marvelous.
All right.
We're having a good time.
All right. Thank you, Glenn, very much. So the motorcade approaching the Churchill Square area, John. I'm down at the east end of it. And the motor and coach arrived. There's parade a little bit late. And sure enough, it has. But here comes the Molson Cup. And Barry Fraser. And assistant GM Bruce McGregor. How are you doing?
This is, Peter, this is unreal.
What a tremendous party. Have you seen anything like this in this town?
I tell you what, I know from last year, it's a lot more fun winning.
Did they get this excited about the Oil Kings and the Flyers when you played?
I don't quite remember this type of crowd, that's for sure.
All right,
Good to see you. Thank you.
Bruce McGregor. Here's assistant coach John Muckler. John, how are you? Have you had a reception like this?
Never.
The town has really taken this team to it.
Fantastic.
How was the reaction on Jasper Avenue?
Just all over the world. It's hard to explain. Everybody's happy and smiling faces. It's just great. Great to see.
Good to see you, John. Enjoy the party. Here come some of the people that worked so hard. Lyle Kuczynski, Barry Stafford, the training staff. Here come the first players now, John and Bill. Lee Fogel arrived at the way to Churchill Square.
Outstanding greeting for the Edmonton Oilers that have arrived so far, and very few of them really have. There's Dave Hunter. And I think that's Kenny Lensman standing up on the back of the convertible with his back to us. I think that's Ken Lensman. Yes, it is Ken Lensman. Lee Fogelin and Kevin Lowe. And I'll tell you what, there were two defensemen who played an outstanding role in the Oilers' success. Kevin Lowe right there, likely the most consistent Edmonton Oiler right from the start of the playoffs until the Stanley Cup. And they are carrying the Campbell Conference Bowl. The Oilers winning that after defeating the Minnesota North Stars in 4 straight games. Willie Lindstrom and an ABSCO Cup with the Winnipeg Jets. He has a Stanley Cup with the Edmonton Oilers. And to his right in the glasses, that's Yari Curry shaking hands as they move along.